But at the end of the day, it is like I said, put the fight on.
Hey, Wack, hey, yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's good? So it is the Monday after Devin the Dream Haney shocks the world as the underdog versus the number one fighter at 147 in Brian Norman Jr. Devin Haney moves up to his third weight class and takes on the Ring Magazine number one ranked fighter, world champion, 28-0 Brian Norman Jr., who had been on an absolute tear, looking dominant in all of his recent fights, had put up some really good performances. And the vast majority, even myself, people going into this fight with the idea that Devin Haney is biting off more than he can chew, that Devin Haney in pure Devin Haney fashion, being a guy who runs to the competition, runs to the smoke, runs to the danger and the challenges, is yet again, doing something that maybe others would advise him against doing. We saw this with the George Kambosos fight, even though people largely looked at Devin Haney as the bigger name and the more skilled fighter in that fight. A lot of people advised him to not go over to Australia and fight this man and take that deal because they felt like he was going to get robbed. They felt like it wasn't going to be on fair playing field. And then a lot of people really didn't want to see Devin Haney be undisputed. So you had haters advising him not to do that because they knew that he could win that fight, but they didn't want him to go and achieve that. But they advised him against that under the guise of being concerned about him getting cheated and shit. So that one was a little tricky. But with the Ryan Garcia fight, Ryan Garcia intentionally came in overweight, and people was like, man, look, hey, I don't think Devin Haney should go on with the fight. Go ahead and bring up Arnold Barboza. You know what I'm saying? Make Ryan Garcia go run those pounds off. You know what I'm saying? But Devin Haney, after draining himself to make the weight and looking across the stage and watching his opponent come in comfortably, drinking beers and shit and whatever he was drinking on stage, intentionally saying, hey, I did this on purpose. I came in at a comfortable weight. Devin Haney still went on with the fight. Yet again, even after that performance, after taking that amount of damage in a fight versus a guy who strategically came in over the weight limit and was taking PEDs, right? He then challenges himself again and goes up to 147 to fight an even better fighter than Ryan Garcia, a stronger fighter, a naturally bigger fighter, a more powerful fighter, more skilled fighter, and Brian Norman for his very first fight in the division, and he goes out and he shocks the world. And I made a video asking, I was like, will Devin Haney get the credit he deserves if he goes up and he wins this fight? Will he get the credit he deserves? And I will say that just looking across social media, looking at different people's reactions and responses, there are many people giving Devin Haney his flowers. So shout out to the objective boxing fans who can look beyond their disdain or hate of a fighter and give them their flowers and give credit when it's due, right? I think we need more of that in the sport of boxing, from fans, from analysts, from boxing platforms that write articles, different things like that, because there's a lot of bias and indignation for certain fighters that for whatever reason they just don't like. And so a lot of times the content that come from these places and these people can be very it can lack integrity. You know what I'm saying? The content and the takes, the analysis from these people, it could be very like diluted with bullshit and trash because there's an ulterior motive behind it. So shout out to the people who are actually giving Devin Haney his credit. I appreciate that. And but there's a whole lot of people who still hate. A whole lot of people who now they flipping the switch. A lot of the people going into this fight that had Brian Norman knocking out Devin Haney, they now saying Brian Norman Jr. was a bum. They now saying that Brian Norman Jr. was an unknown fighter who hadn't fought anybody. The same things that Devin Haney was saying. But you know, Devin Haney understood the magnitude of the fight and the type of guy that he was in the ring with. But you know how fighters do. Fighters go into these fights with a level of confidence. And when you have the pedigree of a Devin Haney, and I wouldn't necessarily say that I agree with fighters, you know, saying, hey, my opponent is a bum, he ain't fought nobody, because I think you should take everybody serious. I don't give a damn who on their resume. You take them serious and you come in as sharp as you possibly can. You treat them like they Godzilla. But fighters, they, in order to build themselves up, a lot of times they gonna view their opponent and be like, you know, he ain't on my level. No matter what he did, he ain't on my level. So that's the type of attitude Devin Haney had. But a lot of these people that was going into the fight, they had Brian Norman knocking out Devin Haney. Now they saying that he ain't nobody. He never fought nobody. He didn't belong on the elite level. And so I just find that funny, man, that there's still some people out there that just won't give him credit. But that's the name of the game. You know what I'm saying? When you don't like somebody, bruh, you just don't like them. You know what I mean? So I just want to say, man, Devin Haney is the fighter. He's the type of guy that you want your favorite fighter to move like. His makeup, his temperament, his attitude on challenging himself and fighting the best fighters and putting himself to the test and actually running to the competition, wanting to prove himself not only to the fans but to himself that he is the best, right? I think that if we had more fighters with that attitude, boxing would be in a way better place. It would be in a way better place. If we had an abundance of fighters who thought and moved like Devin Haney, boxing would be in a way better place. You know, you have these people out here who want to find so many different reasons to hate Devin Haney. When you ask about, man, why you don't like Devin Haney? They'll say, well, I don't like him because he sued Ryan Garcia. Even though the man popped dirty for drugs. So immediately after the Ryan Garcia fight, Devin Haney gave Ryan Garcia his credit. He said he was the better man that night. But then after it came out that the man popped dirty for drugs, the natural reaction is like, hold on. I drained myself to make the weight. I came in clean. And I have to take the devastation and all of the embarrassment of losing to this guy, and I found out that he was cheating. How you think somebody supposed to take that? If he put his whole life into this shit, and then you find out the next man got a leg up on some bullshit, what you think he's supposed to do, right? But people, they don't want to look at that. They praise the drug cheat, and they clown and discredit the guy who did everything right. But then so they use that as a reason to hate Devin Haney. Well, they was hating Devin Haney way before the Ryan Garcia fight. They was hating Devin Haney when he beat Loma. And then so they'll say, well, I don't like Devin Haney because he lost to Loma and they robbed Loma. You know what I'm saying? And so they gave Devin Haney the win. Right? Well, they was hating way before the Loma fight. Going into the Lomachenko fight, they was hating on Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell you why they hate Devin Haney, because Devin Haney is the type of guy who calls out your favorite fighter. And so when these fans' favorite fighters get challenged by a guy like Devin Haney, they feel threatened. So now they build up a level of disdain for Devin Haney because he is trying to fight their favorite fighters. And 9 times out of 10, their favorite fighter is either avoiding the fight or for whatever reason, he's not trying to get in the ring with Devin Haney. And so there's still that unknown out there of who would win out of their favorite fighters, who would win Devin Haney versus their favorite fighter. And because we haven't gotten a chance to see it in the ring, and because their fighter is looking a little bit threatened by Devin Haney, the fans want to go out and try to protect and defend the honor of their favorite fighters. So they use all of these different things as fuel and reasons to hate Devin Haney, when really they need to get their head out their ass and understand that you watching greatness. This man just won his 3rd world title in his 3rd weight class on 3 different continents. He's won world titles on 3 different continents. What that tell me? That speaks to his mental fortitude. That speaks to his willingness to travel. That speaks to his ability to perform on any stage. Not to mention, he did all this at the age of 27. And keep in mind, he's still the youngest undisputed champion ever in the 4-belt era. So here you have a former undisputed champion, a 3-weight champion, all at the age of 27. If he stopped boxing right now, he is a surefire Hall of Famer. But instead of give the man his credit, people want to talk shit. But what can you expect? They talk shit about Floyd Mayweather Jr., arguably the greatest boxer of all time. You feel what I'm saying? Terrence Bud Crawford. You see what he doing. People still had negative things to say about Terrence Crawford after going up and being great versus Canelo Alvarez, stamping himself as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. Right? So I just wanted to make this video, man, and number one, give kudos to Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. because shout out to Brian Norman for giving Devin Haney an opportunity to show what he can do. And I think Brian Norman can still go on and do great things, man, and have some really good competitive fights at 147. And who knows, he might even get another opportunity at fighting Devin Haney if he can get back into championship contention. For Devin Haney, I think he should reign supreme at 47. I think he looks good at the weight class. It looks like he feel good. He was energetic. He was powerful. He rocked Brian Norman Jr. multiple times in that fight. The speed was there. And I think as Devin Haney continues to get better, because at 27, man, I think he's going to get better. I think he's going to continue to get better and kind of, step more into his greatness and learn more about what he's great at in the ring and start to lean on those things and then build on top of that. I think we're in the midst of seeing that with Devin Haney. So I think he'll only continue to get better, man. And I'm interested to see him go unify the division. Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios got a fight coming up for a title. That's Ryan Garcia is yet to win a title, right? You know what I'm saying? That shit crazy. He keep getting these opportunities yet to actually be successful in winning the title. So he's getting an opportunity at a title with Mario Barrios, and I think Devin Haney should go after the winner of that fight. We know Rolly Romero has a title. I don't know if he and Pacquiao are gonna fight, but I think Devin Haney need to go after all the belts at 47, try to become 2-time undisputed in 2 different weight classes, and continue expanding his level of greatness and his legacy, man. But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. How did y'all feel about the performance? And what do y'all want to see next for Devin Haney, man? Contender regime boxing. I'll holler at y'all boys, man.